Welcome to our channel today. We are recapping the 2023 musical fantasy film Wonka, where a young man makes and sells chocolates which give people magical power. So do like this video and subscribe to our channel. Now let's dive into it. The movie begins with Willy Wonka on a ship, where he talks about his dream of opening the biggest chocolate shop in the biggest market of the world. Through the ship, he arrives at his destination, buys the map of the market, and roams around the city, where he finds many chocolate shops. Looking at one of them, he dreams about his own shop and begins dancing. However, an officer tells him that it is not permitted to even dream about something at that place, so he is fined for that. Wonka pays the fine and then sits on a bench because he doesn't have a place to spend the night. Suddenly, a man named Bleacher meets him and tells him that he can rent a room at a woman named Screwbit's hotel. He agrees and goes to the hotel, where Screwbit informs him that he will have to pay some charges. The charges are pretty less, so Wonka agrees, and Screwbit brings a contract that he has to sign to stay there. However, a girl named Noodle tells Wonka not to sign the contract without reading it, making him suspicious. He tries reading the contract, but it turns out that the contract's length is a bit too much to read. Screwbit informs Wonka that there is nothing important in the papers and it's just formality, leading Wonka to sign the papers and spend his night there. Meanwhile, Screwbit takes Noodle to another room and locks her there. The next morning, Wonka gathers many people in the street and tells them about his chocolate. He introduces his chocolate as hover chocks, as they are made with a special flying bug, having the best taste ever. Seeing his unique style, three owners of the already established chocolate shops feel jealous. The jealous owners, Fickle Ruber, Prodnose, and Slugworth, come outside to taste the chocolate, and Wonka meets them, saying he is a huge fan of them. He then gives them his chocolate to taste, and the trio likes it but doesn't admit what they truly feel. Instead, they keep asking questions about the chocolate, and in the end, just say that it's the worst chocolate ever. They even remark that such a kind of chocolate will not gain popularity in this market, but suddenly, they start flying. Wonka tells them that he knows he has the best chocolates in the world, and it's his chocolate's magic that they are flying. After that, many others also try the treat and start floating in the air. Suddenly, the chief officer, Affable, arrives there and tells Wonka that he can't sell his chocolate in the street, making him leave. Wonka returns to Screwbit's hotel, but she informs him that he needs to pay the bills for everything he has used, and to his surprise, the bill's amount is unexpectedly huge. Screwbit tells him that if he doesn't have money, he has to serve the hotel for the next 27 years as a servant. Everything was written in the contract, which Wonka signed without even reading it. Wonka is shocked, and Bleacher throws him into the basement through a pipe leading there. Wonka sees the other four servants, Abacus, Piper, Lottie Bell, and Larry, who have been locked in the basement just like him. The servants tell Wonka about his duties, and he gets busy with work. At night, when he goes to sleep, his bed breaks and he sees Noodle. As they talk, Noodle tells him that she has been here as a servant since her childhood. She asks him what chocolate is, and Wonka is surprised to learn that the girl hasn't tasted the most delicious thing in the world. He gets up and takes out many magical things that he has. Through them, he starts making chocolate for Noodle, and during this, he remembers his mother, who used to make chocolates for him. She used to tell Wonka that the chocolate she makes is the most delicious and sweetest thing in the world. Wonka still has the last chocolate his mother made for him, and then he gives a piece of the chocolate he just made to Noodle. She tastes it and finds it tasty but gets sad about her life. Wonka tells her that his dream is to open a chocolate shop in an abandoned building that he discovered in this market. Noodle says that his idea is not practical because if he wants to open the shop, he needs money, and firstly, he needs to get out of there, which is impossible. Wonka tells her that he has solutions for these problems. On the other hand, the owners of other chocolate shops gather and call the chief Affable. As he arrives, they order him to stop Wonka from selling his chocolate because he's a big threat to their business. The guy has the tastiest chocolate, which can become the public's demand, but the officer asks for something in return. The owners bribe him with a lot of chocolate and money. Meanwhile, Bleacher meets Wonka and tells him about his work as a servant, and Wonka thinks of a plan to trick him. He tells him that Screwbit likes him, and that's why she behaves possessively for him. Bleacher believes his words and smiles. Screwbit sees Noodle, and Noodle gives her a picture of Bleacher, telling her that he is handsome. Screwbit takes the picture and thinks about him. Soon, Bleacher gets ready to meet Screwbit, and they both fall in love with each other, leaving everything else and shifting their attention to each other. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Wonka thinks it is the ideal time to invest his efforts to open his shop. He gathers other servants and tells them about his dream, but asks for their help to fulfill it. If he succeeds in opening the shop, he knows people will buy his chocolate, and they can become rich. Hence, they all will pay their debt and get freedom. They all agree, and Wonka gets ready to sell the chocolates he already has by finding a hidden way out of the hotel. However, he sees that his chocolates are missing and tells Noodle that he knows a dwarf has stolen them. He then tells her that to make more chocolates, he needs giraffe's milk. She tells him that she knows a zoo where a giraffe can be found, but there must be a security guard outside. Wonka makes a chocolate that he decides to give to the guard and makes his way inside the zoo. As the guard eats the chocolate, his inner emotions take control over him, and he remembers the love of his life. He gets busy with her on call and then sleeps, giving Wonka and Noodle an opportunity to get the giraffe's milk. As he gets the milk, he asks Noodle how she got trapped in Scroobit's hotel, and she shows him a necklace saying that her mother left her there during her childhood. Wonka promises to free her one day, and then they both get outside. But suddenly, Affable shows up, and he threatens Wonka never to sell this chocolate in the city by shoving his face into the water. As Wonka returns to the hotel, he stealthily tries to go to the basement and sees Scroobit and Bleacher busy in romance. He tells his companions that his plan is working, but Abacus informs him that he used to work as an accountant for Slugsworth. Working in the office, one day he discovered the map of the chocolate shops and saw that all three owners of these shops met a hidden place under the church. The priest's name is Father Julius, but as he was looking at the map, Slugsworth caught him and kicked him out, leaving him penniless. Hearing this, Wonka is determined to free all the servants. The next day, a boy proposes to a girl, but the girl doesn't say yes, making the boy sad. Wonka sees this and offers the boy some chocolate, telling him that he needs to express his emotions effectively. Eating the chocolate, the boy realizes his inner emotions and proposes to the girl again, but this time effectively making her say yes. Eventually, Wonka sells his chocolate to everyone in the city, making his business grow, but unfortunately, the officer learns about this. Wonka finds the officer coming towards him and he escapes through a gutter. At night, Wonka sleeps, putting the jar of chocolates beside him, and the dwarf again tries to steal it. However, Wonka catches him red-handedly in a trap and asks him why he steals his chocolates. The dwarf named Lofty tells him that it was Wonka who stole some fruits from a garden some time ago. Unfortunately, he was the security guard of that garden, but he was sleeping at that time. As punishment, his fellows sent him to steal Wonka's chocolates, and that's why he came here. Wonka asks for an apology and frees the dwarf. The dwarf hits him, steals the remaining chocolates, and goes away. Later, Wonka tells Noodle about this, and she tells him that they have collected enough money in the past few days. Through that money, all the servants rented the abandoned building Wonka dreamt of turning into a chocolate shop. As Wonka goes to the shop, he sees that its condition is pretty bad. However, he is determined to make it pretty and gets hopeful about it. After some days, Wonka succeeds in making the shop the most beautiful building in the city and introduces it to the people. As they enter the shop, they see a world of chocolate inside and everyone begins eating them. Wonka is happy to see so many customers, but suddenly, one of them eats a defective chocolate and his hair starts growing. Wonka discovers that it's a defective piece, and before he can stop others from eating the chocolate, many people have grown hair on their faces. In retaliation, people start destroying his newly opened shop and in the end, burn it. From outside, Slugworth is happy to witness the scene, and it was all this plan to destroy the shop. At night, the servants sit together, and each of them is hopeless about their freedom. Wonka apologizes to them because he couldn't fulfill his promise, and then he takes out the last chocolate his mother made for him. Just then, the three owners arrive and they offer Wonka to leave the city, never sell his chocolate, and in return, they will pay for his companion's freedom. Wonka agrees and gets the ticket for the boat through which he leaves the city. However, he finds the same dwarf with him and asks him what he is doing there. In response, the dwarf informs him that he will stay with him forever because he still has to steal many jars of chocolates from him. Wonka sees a mark on his hand after Slugworth shook it really hard. He notices Slugworth's ring looks like the one Noodle has. It makes him think Noodle and Slugworth might be family members, and he realizes she might be in danger. Wonka decides to go back to warn the captain, but when he tries, he discovers the boat has explosives put there by the three owners. He and Lofty leave the boat before it blows up, and the chocolate owners become happy, thinking Wonka is dead. On the other hand, Scrooba tells Abacus, Piper, Lottie, and Larry that they are free as Wonka pays their debts. However, she tells Noodle that Slugworth paid her to keep her as a servant, and then she sends her to the roof of the hotel to work. Wonka and his companions team up to rescue Noodle and plan to break into the place where chocolate owners meet and show everyone their corruption by retrieving the data from their account books. They take the giraffe from the zoo and take her to the church to scare Julius and the monks. Willie and Noodle sneak underground through the lift but get caught by the owners. Slugworth, who turns out to be Noodle's uncle because her dad, Zeppy, was his brother, points a gun at them. Noodle's mom asked Slugworth to take care of her when she was sick, but he left her with Scroobit and lied to her mom saying Noodle died. He did this so he could get their family's chocolate money. The owners then throw Wonka and Noodle into their safe, filled with melted chocolate, leaving Wonka and Noodle to drown. Before he dies, Wonka gives Slugworth some of his chocolate to pass on to Lofty if he finds him. However, the trio eats it all just before the safe fills up. Later, Lofty finds the church and drains most of the safe so Wonka can settle his debt. Doing so, he unknowingly saves Wonka and Noodle's life, who come out the record book as evidence of the owner's corruption. Wonka gives the record to the police. Slugworth, Fickelgruber, and Prodnose try to leave, but the police officer reads the book and sees the chief's affable name mentioned in it too. The police arrest the chief and the chocolate mafia tries to run away again. But strangely, they start floating in the air. Wonka tells everyone that the chocolate mafia ate special chocolates that made them fly, thinking they could avoid going to jail because they had more of these special chocolates. Wonka turns on the fountain in the town square, making his chocolate burst out and messing everything up. The owners start flying all over the place, unable to control it, and fly out of town. The townspeople try the chocolate, and Wonka goes back to selling his chocolate. He takes out the last bar his mom made before she passed away, and there's a note saying what matters is not how chocolate is made, but who it's made for and shared with. After that, Wonka gives some of his chocolate to Noodle, Abacus, Piper, Lofty, and Larry. He tells them they made some calls and found Noodle's mom, Dorothy Smith, who works at a library. Wonka takes Noodle to meet her mom for the first time, and then Wonka and Lofty go to an old castle. Wonka plans to make more of his special treats there. Even though Lofty feels like he paid back what he owed, Wonka offers Lofty a job to work with him, and Lofty agrees. In the end, Wonka starts his very famous chocolate factory, and later, Lofty reveals what happened to everyone else. Abacus, Belle, Piper, and Larry went back to their old jobs and met their families again. Scroobit and Bleacher get caught for messing up Wonka's chocolate, and they try to erase the evidence, but it turns their skin and hair different colors. They are eventually caught by the police, and they keep crying over the fact that they fell in love. So that was all for today. Please like and comment on your favorite scene from the movie. Also, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for more updates. See you next time.